Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Hello everyone, welcome to Lukman IAS. In this series, we are discussing the previous year questions of UPSC prelims examination, and today we are going to take questions from modern Indian history. Okay, so with this, now let us see the topics that we are going to cover in today's discussion. Okay, so we are going to take a question on Ilbert Bill. Okay, then we will take a question related to Swadeshi movement. Then we are going to understand about important developments during the British India. Okay, then we are going to take a question related to Santhal uprising. Okay, we are going to understand about Santhal uprising, and we are going to understand about Satya Shodhak Samaj. Okay, so these two questions are from socio-religious movements in India, and Santhal uprising was a peasant movement in India. Okay, so we are going to discuss in detail about them. And so if we talk about syllabus of UPSC prelims examination with reference to history, so in the prelims, like, they have mentioned only one line that says history of India and Indian national movement. Okay, so the single line talks about all the portions of history in prelims examination, like ancient Indian history, medieval history, modern history, art and culture. Everything is covered under this particular heading of the syllabus for prelims exam. Okay, so with this, now let us take the first question for the day. Okay, so this question was asked by UPSC in the year of 2013. Okay, so let us read this question. It says the Ilbert Bill controversy was related to. Here they are asking about Ilbert Bill controversy. We need to understand about what is Ilbert Bill. First of all, we will understand what is Ilbert Bill, then we will try to answer this question. Okay, so let us see what is Ilbert Bill. Okay, so what has happened, that like in the year of 1873, when in 1873 the Britishers made one law. In that particular law, what they have said, that like all the British subjects, means like the Britishers who were residing in British India, means like before independence, when Britishers were ruling in India, some British subjects were also residing over here. Okay, some of them were non-officials. Okay, so those British subjects, like if they happen to commit any crime, so they will be tried by a court of law. Okay, by a court comprising of judges. Okay, so in 1873, what has happened, the Britishers has decided that all the British subjects who are here, like who are residing in Indian territory, in British Indian territory, those British subjects will not be tried by the by the magistrates who were Indians, means like Indian magistrates. Okay, Indian magistrates were debarred. Okay, they were debarred, okay, from trying British subjects. Okay, from trying British subjects. British subjects means the British citizens who were residing in India. Okay, so this was one of the thing. And apart from this, later on, like it was decided in 1873, but later on in 1883, after a decade, means like after 10 years period, the Ilbert Bill was was introduced. Okay, this Ilbert Bill was introduced. So the chairman of the drafting committee of the Ilbert Bill was Sir Ilbert. So Ilbert is a name of a person. Okay, so Ilbert is a name of a person. The chairman of the of the drafting committee, okay, was Sir Ilbert. So that's why this bill is named as Ilbert. So like he was a law minister. Sir Ilbert was law minister when during the viceroyship of Lord Ripon. Okay, so when Lord Ripon, okay, when Lord Ripon was the viceroy, okay, what has happened, then the law minister, okay, was Sir Ilbert, and Sir Ilbert has drafted this particular bill, and under this particular bill what they have decided, that the the senior Indian magistrates, like the magistrates who were senior, right, senior Indian magistrates were allowed to try the British subjects in India. Okay, so this particular bill has allowed the Indian magistrates to try, means like to to preside over the cases that involves the British subjects. But this particular bill brought huge controversy, because once like it was introduced, but later on the British government did not like this particular thing, so it led to a kind of controversy. Okay, so this Ilbert bill was related to removal of disqualification of Indian judges to try on British subjects. Means like in 1873 the Indian judges or Indian magistrates were debarred, means like some prohibitions were there on the Indian magistrates for trying British subjects. But through this particular Ilbert bill, those limitations were removed from the Indian subjects. Okay, so now let us read these options. If we read option C directly, okay, so you can read all the options in your free time. I just want to make the video shorter, so I'll be reading the correct answer for this question. It says removal of disqualifications imposed on the Indian magistrates with regard to the trial of the Europeans. Okay, so this particular Ilbert bill has allowed the Indian magistrates to try the British subjects. Okay, and so like the disqualifications of Indian judges to try British subjects were removed. Okay, so that's why correct answer for this question is option C. Okay, if you did not understand it, go through this particular question again, revise the bring back the video and watch it again, you will understand the context. Okay, so having understood this, now let us take another question. Okay, but before this, let me read this question. This question is an easy question. Okay, it is a very easy question, provided that you have read this particular topic, Ilbert bill. If you have read and understood, you will be able to answer this question. Okay, so now let us take another question. This question was asked by UPSC in the year of 2019. Okay, so let us read this question. It says with reference to Swadeshi movement. Okay, so Swadeshi movement is the central idea of this question. Like this question is based on Swadeshi movement. Okay, so now let us read this question. It says with reference to Swadeshi movement, consider the following statements. One of the statement is it contributed to the revival of indigenous artisans, craft and industries. Second statement, the National Council of Education, the National Council of Education was established as a part of Swadeshi movement. Okay, so here we need to understand that both the statements are correct. Okay, so let us understand what is Swadeshi movement. Okay, what has happened, like during the British Indian time, the Bengal, Bengal, when we talk about Bengal, so Bengal was the biggest province. Okay, it was the biggest administrative unit during the British Indian during the Britishers period. So, and this was a region, Bengal was a region where like we find most of the intellectuals at that point of time. Even now, like many intellectuals come from this particular region. So the thing is, these intellectuals, they were protesting against any measure of the government that was against the freedom of the Bengali people over there. Okay, so what has happened, the Britishers had decided that like they will administer the territory, the Bengal territory efficiently, and for that purpose they have gone ahead with the division of Bengal, which is known as partition of Bengal. Partition of Bengal. So when it happened, the partition of Bengal happened in the year of 1905. 1905. So Britishers have decided that we are going to partition Bengal so that we can efficiently administer the territory. But the main reason for this particular thing was uprisings by the people. The people were having national consciousness. They were protesting against the British British government steps in many of the cases. So they thought like if we divide, then we will be able to rule effectively. That's why it is also known as divide and rule policy of the government. Okay, it was known as divide and rule policy. Okay, so Britishers wanted to divide first, okay, then they wanted to rule over there. So like there were many people who were against this particular move of the government. They were against the partition of Bengal. So they started an uprising. Uprising means they started protesting against it, and it led to, okay, it led to the adoption of a movement that was later known as Swadeshi movement. Okay, it was later known as Swadeshi movement. Okay, so under Swadeshi movement, what has happened? Under Swadeshi movement, people now started agitating against the government, and they started persuading the fellow citizens or fellow people to not to buy any goods that were made in Britain, okay, and to denounce all the foreign kind of goods and things. Okay, so now they started promoting the Indian made goods, okay, Indian made services. Okay, that is known as Swadeshi, means like when you are promoting indigenous things, not the foreign things in Indian soil. Okay, so under Swadeshi movement, what they started doing, they started promoting artifacts that were made in India, artisanships, so they started promoting everything that was indigenous in nature. So one of such thing was education also. Okay, so like they started promoting that like we should impart Indian education to Indian people, like we should not allow for any kind of foreign education to be imparted in Indian Indian people. Okay, so this particular Swadeshi movement like contributed to the revival of the indigenous artisan crafts and industries. So that's why statement 1 is correct. If we talk about second statement, see, the people wanted that like education should be Indianized. Okay, so it later on the government itself has initiated a thing that was known as National Council of Education. Okay, so National Council of Education was started 1 year later after that particular thing. Okay, it was started 1 year later of the of partition of Bengal. In 1906 it was started. Okay, so that's why correct answer for this question is option C. Okay, so having understood this, let us read this question. If I talk about this question is a moderate level question. It was not easy because like you need to have understanding about the nature of the Swadeshi movement, and at the same time you also need to understand about the factual details related to National Council of Education. Many people who appeared in this particular paper, they were not knowing about the second part. Okay, although they were knowing about the first statement, they were not knowing the second statement. So that's why this question is of moderate nature. It was not difficult, it was not easy as well. Okay, so with this, now let us take another question. Okay, so we will read the next question now. This question was asked by UPSC, okay, in the year of 2012. Okay, it came in 2012. Let us read this question. It says, the distribution of powers between the center and the states in the Indian Constitution is based on the scheme provided in the, okay, Morley-Minto reforms 1909, Montague-Chelmsford Chelmsford reforms, Chelmsford Act 1919, Government of India Act 1935, and the Indian Independence Act 1947. Okay, so they have given 4 options over here. I am just taking, after reading, these are not the correct answer. Okay, here we need to understand that like when we talk about Indian Constitution, as you know that the Indian Constitution is the bulkiest, or like it is the lengthiest constitution of the world, and this constitution was not created in one day. It took a lot of time, and at the same time, for the framing of Indian Constitution, we have referred the constitution of many other countries of the world. Okay, we have borrowed provision from the Constitution of USA, from the Constitution of USSR, from the Constitution of Australia, from the Constitution of Canada, etc. Okay, similarly, most of the provisions of the Constitution of India was borrowed from the Government of India Act 1935, especially when we talk about the structural part of the Constitution of India. Okay, The structural part of the Constitution of India was borrowed from the Government of India Act 1935, okay. And one of the provision which is center-state relations, means like what should be the relation between the central government and the state government, okay. So like there are legislative relations, there are financial relations, there are judicial relations, so there are different kind of relations. So like what is the relation between the center and state is borrowed from the Government of India Act 1935, okay. And if we talk about Indian Constitution, like in the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, we talk about division of power between the center and the states, okay. It talks about 3 lists, like on the basis of different subjects we have divided the powers between the state governments and the central government, okay. So that's why correct answer for this question is option C, okay, which says Government of India Act 1935, okay. So if I want to rate this question as easy, moderate or difficult, this is a very easy question, okay. Even like if you have not studied modern Indian history as such, if you have just studied Indian polity book, any of the Indian polity book that talks about historical underpinnings of the Constitution, you are going to answer this question easily. So it is a very easy question. So with this, now let us take next question for the day. Okay. So this particular question was asked by UPSC in the year of 2018. Let us read this question. It says, after the Santhal uprising subsided, what was or were the measures taken by the colonial government, okay. So this particular question is based on the theme which is Santhal uprising, okay. It is based on a theme which is Santhal uprising, okay. If we talk about Santhal uprising, it was one of the movements of the tribal people who were also known as Santhal people, okay. So we are going to understand in detail about the Santhal uprising, but before that let us read this question, okay. We will read this question, we will answer this question, and we are going to understand in detail about Santhal uprising, okay. So it says, like, after the Santhal uprising subsided, what was or were the measures taken by the colonial government? The territories called Santhal Parganas were created. This is correct. It became illegal for Santhal to transfer land to a non-Santhal. This is also correct, okay. So what has happened? Now let us understand what is Santhal uprising, okay. When did Santhal uprising happen? What was the nature of Santhal uprising, okay. Who were the people, like who were involved in the Santhal uprising? We are going to understand all of them. See, if we talk about Santhal uprising, it happened in 1855 to 1856. This was the time period when Santhal uprising happened. So, like, what was the nature of the Santhal uprising? It was a peasant movement, okay. It was a peasant movement. Santhal uprising was a peasant movement. Apart from this, if we talk about like against whom this particular uprising was done by the peasants, okay. So peasants revolted against, okay, some people. So who were they? So it was against feudal land tenure system of the colonial India, okay. It was against, so I am writing, it was against feudal land tenure system, of colonial government, okay. Colonial, I am writing colonial India, okay. Or, so we have now understood what was the time period. We have understood who are the people who were involved in the Santhal uprising. They were peasants. Against whom? These were against the British government, because like these were against the feudal land tenure system of the colonial India, okay. Apart from this, like, where was this particular uprising conducted? So like, where were Santhals located, okay. So who are Santhals? So Santhals are those people who are located in eastern India. Still we find the Santhal tribals, okay. So they are tribal people. So they are found in the states of Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal and Assam, okay. So they are found in the states of Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal and Assam. So this is the region where we find the Santhals, okay. And so, like, you know, what has happened, this like after the Santhal uprising were suppressed, okay, by the government, or after this particular Santhal uprising has subsided, the government has thought like we should come up with some kind of reform measures so that Santhals are protected, okay. And so, like, these statements that are mentioned over here, these statements are with reference to the measures that were taken by the colonial government after the subsidence, or after the Santhal uprising came to a rest, okay. So one of the measure was that, like, you know, those territories or those areas where Santhals used to live, okay, those territories were known as Santhal Parganas, okay. So they have created Santhal Parganas. So they have especially named, like, this particular region belongs to the Santhals, okay. So they created Santhal Parganas, and apart from this, what this particular, you know, what they did, the government at that point of time, they have created Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act of, you know, 1876, Santhal Pargana, okay, Pargana Tenancy Act 1876, okay. They have created Santhal Pargana Tenancy Act of 1876. So under this particular act, the you know, government made it clear that the Adivasi people or the tribal people, okay, will not sell their land to non-tribal people. Means the Santhals were able to, you know, sell their agricultural land or other kind of land to other Santhals, but like non-tribal people will not be able to purchase land in the Santhal Parganas, okay. So both these statements are correct. So these two were the reform measures after the Santhal uprising came to an end, okay, after the Santhal uprising came to a rest, okay. So with this, now let us take another question for the day. And if I have to read this question, this particular question can be considered as a moderate level question. It is not difficult, okay, it is easy. If you have studied it, so you will be able to answer, okay. So history is all about, you know, studying and remembering, okay, and connecting the things. So with this, now let us read another question. This question was asked by UPSC in the year of 2016, okay. Let us read this question. It says, Satya Shodhak Samaj organized, okay. So this question is about Satya Shodhak Samaj, okay. So Satya Shodhak Samaj is a, you know, socio-religious movement, I would say, okay. It is a socio-religious, okay. It was a socio-religious movement. Satya Shodhak Samaj is a socio-religious movement. Who has organized Satya Shodhak Samaj? It was organized by Jyotiba Phule, okay. It was organized by Jyotiba Phule, and Jyotiba Phule is also known as Jyoti Rao Phule, okay. He is also known as Jyoti Rao Phule, and it was organized in the year of 1873, okay, by Jyoti Rao Phule. And so if we talk about this, Satya Shodhak Samaj, if we talk about Satya Shodhak Samaj, so the leaders of the Satya Shodhak Samaj came from the backward classes of this society, okay. So if we talk about leaders of Satya Shodhak Samaj, they were from backward classes of society. They were like Malis, Telis, Kunbis, okay. So they were Malis, Telis, Kunbis, etc. Okay. So these people used to be the, you know, backward class of the society back in 1873, means like we are talking about a particular timeline, okay. So what has happened? So, you know, this particular, you know, Satya Shodhak Samaj was led by the leaders who used to come from backward classes of the society, okay. All the leaders were from backward classes of the society. What it means? That like these backward classes of the society, okay, these leaders tried to bring, you know, their people to the leading part of the society, means like they were organized, the Satya Shodhak Samaj were organized against the prejudices of the society. Okay, so this particular Samaj rejected the sacrosanct nature of the Vedas. Okay, they said that the Vedas are not sacrosanct, and at the same time they opposed the idol worship and they denounced the Chaturvarna system. Okay, so what was Chaturvarna system? If we talk about society, this society was divided into 4 varnas at that point of time. One of the highest varna was Brahmins, then came the Kshatriyas, then came the Vaishyas, then came the Shudras. Okay, so Shudras and Ati Shudras were those people who were at the lower strata of the society. So they constituted the backward classes of the society. So Shudras, themselves, they organized, means like these leaders organized Satya Shodhak Samaj, and so they tried to bring their, their community to the forefront. So that's why they rejected all the, the Chaturvarna system. Okay. So, and if we talk about Satya Shodhak Samaj, so how, their viewpoints were propagated in this society. Their viewpoints were propagated in the society through a Marathi newspaper that was known as Deen Bandhu. Okay, that was known as Deen Bandhu. Okay, so Deen Bandhu was a Marathi newspaper. It can be considered as a mouthpiece of the Satya Shodhak Samaj. Okay, so having understood the Satya Shodhak Samaj, let us now try to read this question and we will answer this question. So it says, Satya Shodhak Samaj organized, okay, option A says, a temple movement for upliftment of tribals in Bihar. No, this is incorrect. Okay, it was not located in Bihar. A temple entry movement in Gujarat. No, this is also not a temple entry movement. An anti-caste movement in Maharashtra. Okay, this is right. Okay, it was an anti-caste movement in Maharashtra. Okay, so I already discussed that like the leaders came from the lower or backward classes of this society. So it was an anti-caste movement because like they rejected the Chaturvarna system. Okay, so C is the right answer for this question. Okay, so if I have to rate this question as easy, moderate or difficult, I would say this is a very easy question. Okay, provided that you have read this particular topic, Satya Shodhak Samaj. Okay, so with this, we have come to an end of today's session. Thank you so much everyone for attending this session. I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.